Hi, everyone. Good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, whenever you're listening to this. First and foremost, congratulations for thinking of civil services preparation. If you have appeared for this mains, then best wishes. If you're aspiring to appear for the forthcoming mains, then this session shall be helpful for you to understand what is going to unfold for you in the civil services mains exam with respect to essay. Today we are going to discuss about the 2020 mains essay paper, the dynamics associated with it, the types of questions, and also what was the expectation of the examiner, how you should have been like handling all the various dimensions. So as we are going to discuss about the various perspectives associated with the essay component, we are first and foremost going to see the types of questions that have been asked, and then we can look into the concerns associated with it. I would be substantiating the topic, what it exactly means, then the content, and also how you can prepare yourself for the forthcoming exams. Like if you're aspiring to sit for civil services mains exam or any other state commission mains exam, what kind of topics you should generally prepare. A brief overview shall be given about it towards the end of the session. So as you can see, we would be like just discussing this very perspective with respect to the this time question paper and also the previous year question paper. So here I know that the font is quite small and it might be a bit tough for you to read. That's why I have created the possibility of the font being increased and you can read the questions individually. So basically this is just on the screen you can see that this is just the way the question paper was put forth before you. So you can see that there are two essays, like there is section A and then there is section B, and in section A and section B you have got four essays, and out of these four you had to choose one. Okay, so out of four you had to just choose one. This is the same trend that has been existing for past few years, that is 2014 onwards. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20, they maintained the same trend. In 2013, when UPSC had launched its new syllabus, at that time period, we did see that there was only one section with four questions and one had to write only one essay up to 2,500 words. But after that, UPSC did not repeat the trend. Since then only we are having this very trend that there are two sections, section A and section B. You have to write an essay which is about 1000 to 1200 words. So when we say 1000 to 1200 words, that means you have to stick to the word limit. You cannot write more than 1200 or less than 1000, because already the word limit bracket has been created. If the examiner would have said that write up to 1200, then you could have exceeded 50 words or so and it was fine. Okay, or if the examiner would have written up to 1200 and you were writing, like let us say something around 950 also, though it was less, but it was like coming closer. So but this bracket, the word limit bracket that has been created for you, that is actually creating the possibility that you have to not exceed the word limit, or you don't have to be less than that. One of the methods to stick to the so-called word limit is that you are able to design how many words you are tentatively putting in one piece of paper, one side of the paper. So you can always try to write on an average 5 words in one line, and that ways you will be able to tentatively calculate that how many words are fitting. So that once in a while, if rather than 5 it is 4 or 3 and sometimes it is 6 or 7, because the size of words also vary from globalization, poverty to is, am, are. So if there is a bit of variation in a few of the lines, it won't make major difference. A tentative possibility of sticking to the word limit shall be maintained. So we can see there are two essays that you had to work on, and you can also see that there are specific topics that have been raised. Just like previous years, we all can see that UPSC has stuck to the section A, or one of the sections, because in 2018 this trend was introduced, whereby an entire section was devoted to philosophical essays, okay, or quote based essays. So at that time in 2018 we saw that the section B was devoted to philosophical essays or quote based essays. In 2000, and we can see that in the year 2019 it was section A devoted to philosophical or quote based essays, and this time we all can see that the section A of 2020 is also devoted to philosophical or quote based essays. Here we can see that the four topics which are there, which all of you can see over here, are life is long journey between human being and being humane. Similarly, we can see mindful manifesto is the catalyst to a tranquil self. And then we can see ships do not sink because of water around them. Ships sink because of water that gets into them. And then fourth is simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So these are the four topics. We will be discussing about them quite exhaustively just in a short while. Let us also get introduced to the section B questions. So in the section B, we all can see there is the first question says, culture is what we are, civilization is what we have. Then the second topic says there can be no social justice without economic prosperity, but economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. So, social justice is in your syllabus, culture is in your syllabus. A brief reflection about the insights that you have gained from those areas has to be reflected and put forth over here. Again, you can see there is another segment that is associated with patriarchy. Patriarchy is the least noticed yet the most significant structure of social inequality. Again, you can see the fourth subsegment, that is technology as the silent factor in international relations. So we can see there is a segment associated with social issues. Here we can see there is a, or rather Indian society, because patriarchy is a part of your GS syllabus, Indian society, where you discuss about role of women, or you discuss about the possibilities related to salient features of Indian society. So patriarchy is a feature of the Indian society. You can pick from there and you can develop the insights from there. I'll be helping you build the content just in a short while. Similarly, you can see this component is discussing about social justice and economic prosperity and the intertwinings between the two. So this is associated with, we can say, social justice plus the insight which gets connected with economy and human development. Similarly, here we can see technology plus IR has been blended. So as I have been always sharing this with you people, that always have a interdisciplinary understanding. It's not only helpful for the component of GS, but it is also majorly helpful for the component of SA. You can see the reflection over here. So as we all can reflect that section B is a combination of areas. Here we can see culture and civilization. So you need to have an insight about history and culture together. Here social justice and economy. Here it is associated with the Indian society component and the women and the other like patterns of inequality which gets connected to the possibility of patriarchy. And definitely the insight in GS is taught associated with Indian society, but here the topic is not talking from exclusive Indian perspective. So you can lift a lot of international insights and you can put in over here, which will also build the topic. Then we can see that there is technology as the silent factor in international relations. Over here as well, we can see that you need to blend in the insights associated with technology and IR. You need to blend the two and you need to see that what all versions, dimensions of technology can be connected with IR and which can build your answer simultaneously. Anyway, so as we are going to proceed with these two sections, first and foremost, I have already discussed about the word limit. So once you have to choose a topic, you should find out which topic is the one which is having an echo or a consonance with your own conscience or your own sense of understanding. Any topic with which you feel that there is a sense of connectivity, or you can feel that yes, this is something which is going in rhythm with what my sense of understanding, my past, my history, or whatever wisdom I have gained so far, you should always choose that one. Yes, you need to have a very good understanding of vocabulary, because having a good understanding of vocabulary shall also build your insights associated with this component. Also, simultaneously, I will suggest you to, yes, being a North Indian student, if you're a North Indian student and listening to this lecture, being a North Indian student can give you a bit of edge or advantage in terms of understanding, like let us say the Hindi words associated with it. Like let us say the topic says life is long journey between human being and being humane. So it says that मनुष्य होने और मानव बनने के बीच का लंबा सफर ही जीवन है. तो probably if you are into like thinking with respect to two languages, then definitely the Hindi translation can ease, or it can facilitate your sense of understanding. But if you don't understand Hindi, that's also okay. You should have a very good command over English, because always remember that the topic is the summary, it is the essence of the entire essay you are going to produce. All the words that you are going to write, like let's say 1000 to 1200 words that you are going to write, the essence of all those words which has been written in multiple pages, like 17 to 18 pages, is there in this one sentence. So whatever is produced para after para should represent what is written over here. So there is this statement, life is long journey. And what kind of journey? So it is between, it is saying the term between what? Human being and being humane. So human being and being humane, the journey that you take in between is life. This is what the topic is saying. So life is whereby you first come into existence as a human being, and from a human being, the way you start learning how to be humane, how to be compassionate, how to be, like let's say, sensitive, how to be giving, not only to humanity or mankind or humankind, but also to the larger animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the entire biome. So when your degree of sensitivity and compassion, it expands to the larger existence, that is something which creates the possibility of being humane. So life is somewhat in between. When this topic is saying this, you first need to understand that human being, so any person who is born biologically as like let us say homo sapien, is treated as a human being. Being means a creature. So a creature which is having the human body, okay, or a homo sapien body. So from a homo sapien body, as you start developing that sense of sensitivity, if you remember as children, like sometimes some children pluck leaves or flowers unnecessarily, break the branches of the trees, and then the mother, grandmother, parents, anyone just says, oh, don't hurt the plant, it also has life. And in such a situation, when we are talking about the possibility of being human, and then we connect it with human being, and when we are connecting the possibilities in between, that is something which is carving life, that is something which is shaping life. So when we are talking about the possibility of a human being, as a child starts growing, first and foremost, you become human when you defy gravity, when you learn how to stand. But rather than becoming a homo sapien, when do you develop that sense of humaneness? You develop that sense of humaneness when you are able to develop a sense of, we can say, sensitivity towards everything. So when, like, there are kids who tend to tie, like, crackers with animals, and they try to burst it, right? That kind of insensitivity. Once in a while, you see there are some kids who are bully and they try to hit or hurt. There are situations when, like, a blind person or an old person is crossing the road, and your parents, they just advise you that you should help the person. When you are kind towards your staff, when you are kind towards, everyone in and around you, that can be a watchman, that can be a, person who is a cleaner. So when you start exercising that sensitivity bit by bit, and you learn the possibility of compassion, that is something which is building the quality of your life, and that is something which is making you humane, and that is something which is completing you as a wholesome human being. So life, or whatever you're living, that entire phenomena gets articulated when you are able to understand what is the essence of being a human. Anyway, we consider any creature as a human being when that creature has consciousness. Consciousness also helps you to have a sense of inheritance. It facilitates the possibility of you connecting with your past. It also facilitates the possibility of, like, let us say, having a sense of connectivity with the larger environment, everything, the flora and fauna which is in and around you. So when you start developing that sense of consciousness, that sense of compassion, practice towards each and every one, irrespective of the treatment that is rendered towards you, irrespective of the behavior that is rendered towards you, that is something which makes you humane. And that component of compassion which is taught to you in ethics, GS paper 4, is something which you need to bring in over here, and then you are supposed to develop that further. Okay, so as we are going to discuss about the dynamics between human being and being humane, that is something which we all are going to develop, right? So as we are discussing about the possibility of life is a long journey between human being and being humane, we need to understand the interconnectivity between the two subsections. All right, so I'm really sorry because of the multiple calls that I'm getting. Interestingly, I'm getting it from the people of this institute only, who are just cross-checking if the lecture has commenced. And the truth is, I like had called up 2 3 people. Henceforth, you are experiencing this, because their numbers were busy, and now they are just cross-checking if the lecture is functional or not. So I'm really sorry for this. It's becoming a part of the recording. So because that's something which I really am mindful of, that things should be like in utmost tranquility, it should be practiced, which is and few words are getting a reflection from the second topic. That's why I used the word consciously, so that you become aware of these words and you start developing a sense of connectivity even before I start discussing them. Anyway, so as you're talking about like a human being and being humane, start connecting it with all sorts of disciplines, all sorts of individuals, all sorts of, like, let us say, professions, from a doctor to an engineer to a lawyer to a teacher to a scientist. Each and every individual who is able to exercise that compassion and sensitivity is the person who is able to exhibit the quality of being humane. All right, so you can connect it with multiple, like, let us say, jobs. You can connect it with multiple sections of the society who are vulnerable and who deserve to be treated as human beings. So, like, you can just, I have facilitated that in this specific diagram, which I help all the students, irrespective of the fact that they are my essay students, like wholesome classroom program students or not. I always encourage them to think from this perspective, which eases how to connect various dimensions related to a specific subtopic. So you can discuss it from the perspective of history. You can discuss, like, in the terms like how the human being, the creature, it evolved over the time period, and how different philosophies emerged which took care of the sensitivity and the degree of compassion, how political changes, economic changes, social changes, they unfolded themselves, and which established the possibility of sensitivity and compassion in the civilization and the growth of human beings accordingly, which made them humane. So whether it is religion or philosophy or scientific advancement, all of them, they just talk about the possibility of growth, the possibility of evolution. All of them talk about the possibility of, we can say, being connected to the larger environ, or being responsible towards the larger environ. We can think it from that perspective. Okay, so I hope you can connect it with the subsegment of past. You can connect it with the present, what all is happening in the present, which makes you more humane. It can be associated with your own individual experiences, your social experiences, or whatever is happening in and around you. Simultaneously, you can think it from the perspective of future, that what needs to be done in future, which can change the human dynamics. Similarly, you can like work it out at the level of this levels. So how at individual individual level, humaneness can be practiced. At familial level, it can be practiced. Neighborhood level, societal level, state level, at the level of nation, at the level of global perspective, that humaneness can be inculcated. And all the efforts that are made by you or the society in and around you, it is bringing you closer to being human. And that is something which is like not only transforming the possibility for an individual, but for the larger society or the world, and which makes the earth a better place to live in. Towards whom can that humaneness be practiced? There are certain subsegments which I have discussed, like you can think it from the perspective of age, sex, religion, caste, ethnicity, okay, disability. Like disability can be also of different types. You can think it from the perspective of class, you can think it of, from the perspective of region, that is rural as well as urban. Simultaneously, you can reflect upon what are the challenges or problems which threatens the possibility of being humane, of exercising compassion. There are some heinous crimes, or there are some hostile situations whereby violence becomes inevitable. In those situations, how to practice ahimsa or humaneness. You can bring in the insights of multiple, like we can say, philosophers, thinkers, from Gandhi to Vivekananda to Nelson Mandela to Martin Luther King. You can bring in international philosophers, thinkers, Socrates, Aristotle. So you can bring in the wisdom of different thinkers and philosophers to make your answer more rich, to make your essay more, we can say, reflective, and that also brings validity to whatever ideologies you are talking about. So you can bring in the insights of multiple thinkers as well. Again, you can see, you can talk about types, like you can say that there are various ways in which humaneness can be practiced. So you can talk about humaneness at, like, let us say, societal level. You can think of humaneness at technological level. You can think of humaneness at, like, let us say, environmental level. You can think of humaneness with respect to your neighborhood, humaneness at the level of, like, let's say, your sense of responsibility towards energy consumption, plastic consumption. So the moment you talk about humaneness, your entire domain starts broadening up. You can think of umpteen number of examples which makes you sensitive towards your wholesome existence, what you're living, what you're consuming, how you are unfolding your reality, and how that reality is influencing the life of others. Okay, so you can think of that. Simultaneously, you can lift dimensions from various other disciplines that you have studied, like the social discipline, the economic perspective, the political perspective. You can think it from legal administrative perspective, how that humaneness can be exercised in the form of different laws, and when they are implemented effectively. You can think of science and technology, how atomic bombs, when they were created, the people who saw, those who had created and those who saw the level of devastation and destruction, they were really affected. Some of them even lost their sense of mental balance, some sunk to depression, and those who exercised that bombing, they also committed suicide. So the thing is, that sense of responsiveness, that sense of connectivity, when science loses its moral ground, when it loses its humane touch, it can be destructive, not only for mankind but the entire biome. But at the same time, when that humaneness is exercised, you are able to not only create medicines or technological advancements which are helpful for mankind, but also other creatures. So you can think of that. Again, you can think at psychological level how that humaneness can be practiced. Okay, so you can think of Buddha, you can think of Gandhi, you can think of multiple other thinkers. You can bring them over here as well. You can think it from environmental perspective, from cultural perspective, from, you can also think it from physical quotient. Physical means the bodily quotient, how this body can live in such a manner that that humaneness can be practiced. Now this is a very open-ended word that I said. How this body can live means what you can consume, which leads to maximum practice of humaneness, of sensitivity. Even like many people go vegan, you must have heard that. They consume like no milk, because they feel that even they, in the extraction of milk, the animal whose milk is taken is exploited, because the animal is not giving out of choice. It is just that you are getting the animal impregnated, and when the animal is impregnated, or if the animal aspires to feed the baby rather than feeding the baby baby is pulled out and the milk is taken out. So that level of exploitation, those people who are sensitively connecting to that, they go for other alternate sources of calcium intake or calcium consumption or protein consumption rather than depending on milk. Simultaneously, we can see this possibility related to the emotional quotient. At emotional level, how you can exercise that humaneness in and around you. Similarly, at intellectual quotient, how can you use your intellect to like be humane? In the similar manner, you can think it from the perspective of spiritual quotient, how spiritually that humaneness can be practiced by retrospection, by reflection, by, we can say, introspection, and also by meditating over what's happening, why is it happening, and how the breakthrough can be achieved. Again, when we are talking about humaneness, humaneness can be preserved by focusing on broader human principles, by preserving those broader human principles like balance, integrity, honesty, accountability, equality, equity, decentralization, and multiple other such terms which you have been aware of in GS paper 4. You can bring that wisdom over here and you can connect it with the specific topic. So now suddenly you might be feeling that the topic was not tough. All it needed was a 360-degree spin. All right. So as we had been sharing about this very topic, that life is long journey between human being and being humane, and as we were connecting with the possibility associated with this topic, that what all dimensions can be built related to it, I hope all of you got a sense of understanding that how multiple dimensions can be opened related to it and how this topic can be built. So I hope you are gaining a sense of ease and you're understanding the very possibility of a given topic. If you understand the topic deep, you can develop multiple dimensions associated with it. If you are struggling with any of the things, like let us say the language, or you are struggling with, like let us say, the meaning, what the author wants to say, then there will be a struggle. So you have to understand what the examiner or what the author I'm saying because someone has written the philosophical quote. So if you understand the meaning and interpretation of what the author or the examiner wants to, like, communicate, if you are able to gauge that soul, and along with that, if you are able to imbibe more insights, you can like play with the topic in a multi-dimensional perspective, then you are writing a very rich essay and you can comfortably get 160 plus marks very comfortably, because again there is the dynamism of language also, what kind of vocabulary you are using, how rich is your expression, how many dimensions you are able to pull through, how correct is your grammatical expression, everything adds to the value. So accordingly 5-10 marks is added or subtracted. Anyway, so we have been discussing this topic, life is a long journey between human being and being humane. That is something which we have discussed so far. Similarly, you have got this topic, mindful manifesto is the catalyst to a tranquil self, or rather in Hindi they have given this word that विचार परक संकल्प स्वयं के शांत चित्त रहने का उत्प्रेरक है. सो अगर किसी को बहुत अच्छी तत्समी हिंदी का बोध नहीं है तो बच्चा वाकई इसमें धड़ाम से गिर जाएगा कि हाय हाय क्या हिंदी यूज कर दिया, राइट? सो when you get a topic like mindful manifesto is the catalyst to a tranquil self, you first need to understand what does this word mean. So the moment we use a term like, let us say, mindful, okay, the when do we use this word mindful? So mindful, this terminology is used when we do something consciously, when we are aware about it, when we put in our heart and soul, when we are like aware of the repercussions, the sub dimensions associated with it. Okay, so when you're fully present, when you're fully aware of what you are doing and how you are doing, that is something which refers to mindful. Similarly, you see this word manifesto. Manifesto is a term which all politicians have taken out, or political parties take it out before elections. So you're aware of political manifesto, but what does the word manifesto in general mean? That means a declaration. Okay, declaration, the, like we can say, something which you declare to the masses, something which you declare to the public, the people, your family, the larger society, about your intentions, about your motives, about your views. Okay, so when you consciously declare about anything, your intentions, your future actions. Okay, when you consciously declare that, it acts as a catalyst to the tranquil self. What is a catalyst? Catalyst, all of you know, in chemistry you've heard the word catalyst. Okay, so catalyst is something which is facilitating the change. Okay, it is facilitating the phenomena. Okay, and in the similar manner, when we use the word tranquil, you know, tranquil comes from the word silent, peace, or something which is related to quietude, something which is related to calmness. Okay, so as you're understanding the meaning of the words and then you reflect upon what is being discussed over here, so it is saying that consciously, when you declare your intentions towards any set of actions, it acts as a facilitator for the change that will be brought about in your life, because of which you will have a very peaceful, a very calm existence. Okay, quite deep, right? So every single word needs that reflection. First and foremost, how to get that mindfulness, why mindfulness is essential, how mindfulness goes missing, what are the challenges related to mindfulness, how people are scared to have a manifesto, declare a manifesto, and sometimes even if they declare, like new year resolutions, they just fall flat, they are unable to maintain that. So when you consciously make a declaration either towards yourself, your own body, your own mind, your own existence, your studies, or towards social transformation, the commitments you want to make to the larger society, to make the society a better place to live in, any kind of manifesto, when you make a conscious effort, when you make a conscious set of actions to bring about change, okay, that leads to a peaceful existence, because there is a harmonious existence. There is no friction between your action and your thought. Oh, I wanted to do this but I'm unable to do this. Oh, I aspire to get this but I'm not getting this. I aspire to achieve that but that has not yet been achieved. All those types of frictions you are able to overcome, whether they are personal life frictions, professional frictions, social frictions, political frictions, aspirations from the political leaders, the society, aspirations from the global phenomena, aspirations to bring about change, okay, in the larger set. So when you talk about mindful manifesto is the catalyst to a tranquil self, again you can connect this with all the multiple dimensions that we have opened and the chart that I have shown. Okay, so my basic motive is that first and foremost, understand the topic in totality. When you are able to understand the topic in totality, you are able to delve deep, you're able to connect it with multiple perspectives, ideologies, thinkers, professions, challenges, multi-dimensional aspects can be brought in, and the sense of repetition is cut down. Majority of the students repeat only when they don't understand or when they are lacking content. There is no dearth of content for any civil services aspirant who is thorough with the content. Any person who is like very thorough with the content, the person may not struggle with the possibility of developing the content. Okay, so what I really want to say is, first understand the manifestation or the hidden meaning or the implicit meaning of every single word. As you are able to understand that, you are able to unfold broader reality, greater reality associated with that terminology. Similarly, you can see the third topic says ships do not sink because of water around them. Means how much ever adversity is around you, how much ever contradictory situations are around you, you don't sink because of that. You sink because the water, those adversities get into them means the ships. Okay, so here you can associate it with, like, let us say, your body. You can associate it with your mind, you can associate it with society, you can associate it with community reality, you can associate it with multiple phenomena. So until and unless, even if you're living in and around so many germs, until unless those germs enter you, you don't get sick. There are multiple, vicious ideas floating around us, but until unless we don't accept those ideas, we don't become evil, or we don't start exercising violence in any form. Similarly, if until and unless, like, let us say, if we are talking about this possibility at familial level, until unless we don't have someone in the family who betrays the family, like the concept, like very popularly we can see the mythological insight coming from Ramayana, whereby we don't aspire to keep the name Vibhishan of any child. We keep the name Ravan, we keep the name Rama according to our ideology, but no one keeps the word Vibhishan as a name. Why? Because of the connotation that comes from the name, right? So you don't want the ship to sink, or the family to sink, or the kingdom to sink, the empire to sink, the country to sink, until and unless you don't have your own people who are weaklings and who are becoming spies, or who are divulging secrets, or who are facilitating the possibility of downfall. So whenever we talk about the sinking ships, so whenever we are talking about sinking ships, those sinking ships can be associated with your own body. It can be associated with the peace of your mind. It can be associated with individuals within the family, within the community. You can think of the larger existence. Okay, the sinking ship, you don't need to connect it with, like, let us say, ideas of communalism. Please mind it. You cannot say that, oh, till the time our community is not allowing people from our community don't betray us, other community won't attack. Again, the possibility of our there will show that you are not an individual who's appreciative of diversity. So rather than that, you can always say that people who do unmindful acts, like related to devastation of environment, and they don't see the decelerating impact which first like disturbs that environ, then the larger environ, and the decelerating impact will not only come back and affect only a specific community living in that area, but the larger population, the larger demos. So if there is climate change, it's not only going to affect like the people who are slum dwellers, or who are living in areas which are environmentally more deplorable. It will, in the long run, affect each and every individual. So those people who are facilitating the possibility of environmental degradation or damage, they are causing the ships to sink, and these ships will be the mankind, the human race. It can be associated with biodiversity. Okay, so play the word sinking ship, play with the word water. What is this water, and what is this word ship? And just use the connotation in multi-dimensional references, and use the chart which I have shared underneath. Simultaneously, you can see the word simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, right? Many a times it is said that simplicity is not so easy to practice, or common sense is not so common. You've seen all those words like floating in and around you. So you can talk about this. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. You can recall the lives of Gandhi, Vinoba Bhave. You can think of all the like wise men and women and thinkers who have transformed human history with their simplicity, which also facilitated the possibility of creating new. In a simpler, more simpler example, or rather most simple, I can say, version of it, you can see that this fellow Nas Daily, or the one who, like Nas, who creates those videos of Nas Daily, or you can see the people associated with different other types of possibilities, like we can see the Apple CEO and the founder, or we can see Mark Zuckerberg. All these people, they don't indulge in buying a lot of clothes. Why do they stick to simplicity? Because they say that we have limited energy in our body. And when we divert that energy in other meaningful processes, we are able to create more. So rather than investing our energy, what to wear, how to look, okay, why not to stick to one pattern? You can see all the sages, yogis, and see, I'm not actually talking about clothes. I'm actually talking about the possibility of how simplifying your life, how delimiting your physical material needs, and when that physical material need is delimited, how that energy can be utilized in various other possibilities, various other sources, various other situations, which can create sophistication and advancement for the human race, for the economy, for the political phenomena, for the unfolding of various realities which mankind aspires for. So you can think of that very possibility from this very topic. Similarly, in section B, we can see culture is what we are and civilization is what we have. Now, by now, you might be gaining a sense of ease associated with this topic as well, right? Because a lot has been discussed so far. So as we are discussing about this very possibility, we all can let us consider, we all can discuss more insights associated with it, right? So in this we all can, I'm so sorry, just a second, by mistake it seems I have touched something else. Okay, so yeah. So when we are talking about this section B, and when we are, let us say, discussing about the phenomena associated with culture and civilization, we can see culture can be associated with your material culture, right? Like artifacts, jewelry, pottery, architecture, right? The books that you can touch. We can think and associate it with food, with dressing, and then there is non material culture. Non material culture can be associated with philosophies, it can be associated with song, dance, drama, literature, oral literature, not the written one. Written becomes a material literature. So when we are talking about all of it, it becomes a part of non-material culture. So whatever you are living in material and non-material sense is creating who you are in present. Civilization is what you have. What you have means what you have inherited so far. Inherited in terms of both material as well as non-material aspects. So here you not only have to delve from the perspective of history, or let us say economy, or the economic process, political process, social process, okay, but at the same time you also need to think about the intellectual processes, the philosophical processes which have unfolded and which has shaped the present reality, the way you are thinking, the way you are participating, the way you are behaving. So you need to connect all those possibilities and you need to bring that on ground. Okay, you need to discuss that possibility over here. Similarly, we can see the another topic says there can be no social justice without economic prosperity, but economic justice without social justice is meaningless. Now here, the moment they are talking about the possibility of social justice, we all understand that social justice is a concept which is associated with equality of opportunity and equality of rights, where every individual gets competent opportunity and equal rights, which facilitates the possibility of they attaining all that they need, okay, is something that needs to be incorporated. Okay, so we all can see that there can be no social justice without economic prosperity, but economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. Okay, so the moment we are saying that there can be no social justice, it means that you cannot get any kind of, let us say, equality of opportunity or equality of rights if there is income inequality, or if there is inequality in the economic opportunities. Means if there is class divide, let us say, okay, so if there is class divide, or if there is inequality in access to income, access to, let us say, gaining us control over various environmental resources, various types of resources which are facilitating and easing the existence of human beings. Let us say, there are communities which are given rights under law, under fundamental rights. Okay, they are given protection, but still, despite of that, if we see that those individuals are unable to exercise their control over those possibilities, then you all will be able to see that despite the possibility of reservation, despite the possibility of legal interventions, they won't be able to have a breakthrough in terms of social justice. They won't be able to have a sense of competent participation. So whenever we are talking about the possibility of, let's say, social justice, it can truly be realized only when everyone is having competent access to opportunity and competent access to the rights. And one of the most important catalyst or facilitator is economic prosperity. So even if the child is disabled, the child will be able to get new tools, gadgets, which is easing the child's work. Okay, even if let us say a woman is getting rights related to parental property or right of equality under various sections or under various fundamental rights, still if she is not having an access to economic prosperity, or she is not having competent access to economic resources, those rights cannot be safeguarded, and in the end of the day, she will be her possibility of participation will be delimited. Similarly, you can connect it with, like, let us say, the tribal population. Even if you have multiple articles in the constitution safeguarding their rights, but because they are not connected with economic prosperity, they are further marginalized, and that becomes a part of the denial of social justice to them. Okay, so there can be no social justice without economic prosperity. Yes, this is also true. And then it is but, and after but there will be an opposite fact which will be stated. For example, if I say I want to go to school but it is raining, that means I cannot go. But my fees has not been paid. But my mother is not feeling ill. So but always creates a contradiction. So seeing the connotations associated with this term but, when we move ahead, we see that it is saying that but economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. Means if like the society has a lot of Ambanis and Adanis, but there is absence of social justice, such a prosperity, such a possibility of growth in the GDP is meaningless. So if you, even if you are able to portray that there is growth in GDP, even if you are able to portray that there is a, like, let us say, an impetus related to the kind of breakthrough that people have achieved, you all can see that the economic prosperity or the possibility of economic prosperity, when that is created, but it is not divided or distributed to the larger masses, when it is not distributed, or is not, that economic prosperity is not accessible to all, then equal opportunities are not created, then equal rights are not created, and that will lead to denial of social justice. So you have to write a lot of examples, a lot of causes, a lot of possibilities related to the impact, the types of like, economic prosperity that we witness in terms of access to various resources, in terms of access to jobs, in terms of access to skill development, in terms of access to advancement, in terms of access to exposure. You need to delve deep into the term economic prosperity and the various agents which facilitate economic prosperity. Similarly, you need to delve deep into the term social justice. What does the term mean, and in how many ways this term can be unfolded with respect to different communities, different sections of the society. We can consider the different, like, let us say, individuals associated with the larger society. Similarly, you need to understand this term in term, you need to reflect this with respect to the next topic, which is talking about patriarchy is the least noticed yet most significant structure of social inequality. Why? If there is caste based violence, the Dalit women will be raped. If there is a riot which is based on religious differences and religious friction, again women will be raped, women will be mauled, women will be tortured, right? Now, like any kind of friction, there is racial violence, women are molested. So any kind of social inequality, first you have to understand what are the structures of social inequality. In how many ways do we witness social inequality in different parts of the world and in different types of societies? And when you recall the different types of social inequalities, and when you start thinking about how that social inequality unfolds itself, how violence associated, different types of violence, mental violence, economic violence, physical violence, okay, all types of violence that unfold itself due to social inequality, it does have a gender based manifestation, it does have a gender based reality. So patriarchy becomes a facilitator tool for all types of inequalities, and which is noticed not so very majorly. If there is violence, like let's say rioteering, people will like, oh ho, two communities, two religious communities fought with each other, they are butchering each other. But who is the worst victim? First women, then old age people and children, and then the, like, rest of the people. And this phenomena reiterates itself by and by. So when we are talking about patriarchy is the least noticed, it's not that it's not noticed at all. It is noticed, because we can see there are provisions not only in the constitution but also in the human rights declaration internationally. So patriarchy is noticed, but why is it said that it is least noticed? It is least noticed because the component of patriarchy is not connected with all forms of inequality which various societies are experiencing. But it plays the most important role, the most significant role in the articulation of that inequality. Okay, I hope you are understanding that. See, I'm trying my level best that within this stipulated 1 hour, I'm able to give you an insight about the topic, what the topic actually aspires to say, so that once you understand it, you can have the courage to unfold various realities associated with the given topic. So, and definitely, I hope you understand that this is not a lecture series of, like, let's say 5 or 10 lectures, whereby every single topic and all the dimensions which should be incorporated in the topic can be discussed within the framework of 1 hour. That's why I discussed the first topic very exhaustively and all the sub dimensions that can be included, all the topics, all the examples that can be included. And after that, I'm explaining each and every topic. In the process of explanation of the topic, I'm incorporating the wisdom and insight that should go, few examples that you can incorporate in that given topic of the essay. Simultaneously, we can see the topic says technology as the silent factor in international relations. Okay, so then here you can, like, again, you can talk about the issue of technology, in how many ways technology is associated with your syllabus. So, technology, first and foremost, from history itself, we can see it unfolds itself from industrial revolution, right? And from industrial revolution, you can further connect it. So, technology, it has proved to be a silent factor in international relations. So, historically, colonialism, right? It unfolded itself because the Europeans got an advancement because of what? The technological advancement because of industrial revolution, whereby they first started dumping their goods or setting markets in different countries, dumping the goods, and later on, with economic efficiency, controlling the politics or the local dynamics of the given society, right? So we have understood the dynamics associated with technology in the past, and I hope you all can connect with it, like what does the word technology mean and how is it connected, like, with history. And then you can think of the Chinese coming up with, like, gunpowder, printing press, and how that technology also proved to be a silent factor in international relation. So connect with the historical aspects of technology, then connect it with, like, let us say, atomic energy and how it shaped the possibility globally in terms of Second World War. Okay, you can think of it and you can connect it with, like, defense. You can connect it with biotechnology in terms of the present day vaccine issue and the corona pandemic. You can connect this issue of pandemic, sorry, connect the issue of technology with respect to nanotechnology. You can connect it with all the environmental breakthroughs that we are attaining due to technology, and that is shaping international relation. Why it can be a silent factor? Sometimes it is very loud with respect to the kind of impact it is generating, but on an average, it does influence the kind of treaties and protocols that we get into, the kind of interactions that different countries delve into. So I hope you can connect this possibility of technology as a silent factor in the international relations, right? So I hope all of you now are able to understand that if you understand a topic deep, if you're able to perceive a topic in a wholesome manner, then only you can actually develop all the segments associated with that topic. You can brainstorm about that topic and you can brain map about that topic. What is brainstorming? What is brain mapping? I explain it exhaustively in my lectures. So in future, whenever you are a part of the lecture series, I hope you will be able to utilize those tools also very effectively. Try to write very engaging introductions and engaging conclusions so that a wholesome insight is built and the examiner enjoys to read the information. Don't overdo a lot of facts, because for the simple reason, essay is a piece of literature. It is not a GS answer. So you should write facts because that validates what you're writing, but don't overdo with facts. Don't overdo with examples. I mean the word overdo, because when you overdo with examples and overdo with facts, that actually makes the essay very dry. Okay, so try to make the essay quite engaging and let from one para to the second, second to third, third to fourth, let the information be free flowing so that there is a sense of ease and understanding. Remember, the examiner is not a kid. The examiner is a seasoned professor who knows enough about the topic. So don't become too much informative, rather be more engaging. The way you enjoy a piece of article which you have probably read very thoroughly in GS, but when you pick the newspaper and you find the article and you're enjoying reading it, that wow, this was interesting, or the way it was written was interesting. Towards the end of the article, when you like are relaxed, you're like, there was nothing new that was written in the article. I was already posted about it, a lot of information that I had after reading about it from GS, but I enjoyed reading it because of the style or the penmanship in which the that article was written. The same penmanship you need to develop, because you're not going to create some new information on an average for the examiner. 90% of the content that you will be writing, the examiner already must be knowing. So how to write it in such a manner that it is engaging, it is interesting, it is thought provoking, and it is also showcasing you as a, we can say, brilliant civil servant who is a visionary, who is sensitive, who is compassionate, who is able to connect the larger dynamics of human existence, and who will be bureaucrat who will be making a difference at grassroots level. Those qualities and virtues are established by what you write and how you write it. Okay, so I hope you have understood how to delve with respect to this essay and how to unfold the reality of this essay. So far, whatever has been explained has been understood by you, and I hope you enjoyed this discussion. So thank you for being so patient and understanding all these segments. I would be reading your comments on whatever you would be writing, and if there is any query, I will try to address it underneath the comment itself. All right. So God bless you. Take care, and bye.